Paul Tudor Jones turned 1.5 million into 100 million in 1 year. Not by working harder, not by saving more, not by cutting lattes. By understanding one thing most people never learn, how money actually moves. And here's what nobody tells you. The skills he used, you already have them. You've been using them since the day you became a mom. Today, I'm breaking down his 5 core wealth principles and showing you exactly why moms are the most naturally equipped investors on the planet. This is Mom's Money Talk. I'm Elli Ezra, the mom talking money like no one ever did for you. This is for the woman who's done managing money and ready to run her life like a business. I'm not a financial advisor, but I've built companies, sat in rooms with investors, and learned how money actually works. And here's the truth. You don't have a money problem, you have a systems problem. This isn't about budgeting harder or cutting lattes, it's about spending with intention, building assets, and thinking like the CFO of your household. Because if you're a mom, you're already running a business, the business of the home. So I'm giving you the playbook, one that makes your life feel lighter, not heavier. Before we get into it, subscribe or follow the show so this conversation keeps finding its way back to you. This is not a one-time pep talk. This is a new operating system. I want to start with something that might surprise you. The skills that make the greatest investors in the world, they are the exact same skills you use to run your household. Think about what you do every single day as a mom. You diversify your kids' lives. Soccer and piano and tutoring and swimming and dance and social time and downtime. You don't put all their development into one activity and hope for the best. You spread it. You balance it. You watch what's working and you adjust. You compartmentalize. You can be in a work meeting mentally tracking that your kid needs to be picked up at 3, dinner needs to start by 5, and someone has a dentist appointment tomorrow. You hold multiple systems in your head simultaneously without them collapsing. You see trends before they happen. You know when your kid is about to get sick before they do. The sick breath. You know when a friendship is going sideways. You read behavioral patterns and you act early. You track buying behavior. You know which brands are worth the premium and which are a waste. You know when to buy in bulk and when to wait for a sale. You are a consumer intelligence machine. You see down the river. You don't just think about today's lunch. You think about what kind of adult your child is becoming. You make decisions now for outcomes years away. This is exactly what great investors do. The only difference is they apply it to money, and today, so are you. Here's the lie we were all told. Work hard, save money, put it in a 401k, retire at 65. That's not a wealth strategy for 2026. That's a survival strategy. And the people who actually build generational wealth, they're playing a completely different game. Paul Tudor Jones is one of the greatest macro traders alive. He predicted the 1987 Black Monday crash and tripled his money while everyone else was losing everything. His principles aren't just for hedge fund managers. They're the operating system of every wealthy person I've ever studied. And moms, we are built for this. We just haven't been given the language. Let's fix that. The 5 principles with our mom lens. Principle 1, defense first, capital preservation. Jones says before you think about making money, think about not losing it. The number 1 rule of wealth is don't blow up. Here's the mom translation. You already do this. You don't let your kid run into traffic to get to the playground faster. You build in safety first, then you let them play. Your financial floor is the same thing. Emergency fund, insurance, a buffer. Before you invest a single dollar, you need to know that one bad month won't wipe you out. Because if you blow up financially, you can't stay in the game. And staying in the game is everything. Defense isn't boring. Defense is what lets you take bigger swings later. Principle 2, asymmetric risk reward. This is the one that changed everything for me. Asymmetric risk reward means you risk a little to make a lot. Jones's rule, only take a bet where you can make 5 times what you risk. Risk $1, make $5. Risk 1,000, make 5,000. Tony Robbins just talked about this on Diary of a CEO. And it's the same principle Ray Dalio, Warren Buffett, and Carl Icahn all use. The money guys. Now, here's the mom version of this. You already think asymmetrically. You just don't call it that. When you sign up your kid for a sport, you're making an asymmetric bet. The downside, maybe it's $200 for this season of piano or this season of soccer, right? And Saturday mornings. The upside, they find a passion, build discipline, make lifelong friends, get a scholarship, understand consistency, routine, commitment. Small risk, massive potential upside. That's asymmetric. Now, apply it to money. You invest $5,000 in a rental property. Worst case, you lose $5,000. Best case, it cash flows $800 a month, appreciates $100K over 10 years. Long-term generational thinking. You start a side business, $500. Worst case, you're out $500. Best case, it becomes your primary income. You buy Bitcoin with 5% of your portfolio. Worst case goes to 0, you lose 5%. Best case, you already know, to the moon. The question isn't, is this risky? The question is, what's the upside versus the downside? You've been asking that question your whole life as a mom. Now ask it about your money. All right, principle 3, leverage via asymmetry, not debt. When most people think leverage, they think debt, and that's part of it. But Jones means something different. He means find opportunities so skewed in your favor that a small investment creates an outsized return. Moms understand this intuitively. You don't hire a tutor for every subject. You identify one area where your kid needs support. You invest there. Maximum impact, minimum waste. You don't overschedule, right? Don't overschedule. You find the activities that give the most return on your kids' time and energy. And your energy. We got swimming and piano for one of them. We got chess and taekwondo for the other. That's it. That's leverage through positioning. For your money, it looks like this. Build a personal brand that generates income while you sleep. You create content once that earns forever. You buy an asset that appreciates without you doing anything. And investing in skills that 10x your earning power. AI. You don't need to borrow always to leverage. You need to be strategic about where you put your time and money. You're doing this as a mom. Now do it with your portfolio. Principle 4, the Holy Grail. This is a top secret. 8 to 12 uncorrelated investments. 8 to 12, all right? This one comes from Ray Dalio, and Tony Robbins calls it the Holy Grail of investing. If you have 8 to 12 investments that don't move together, you can reduce your risk by up to 80% while keeping your upside. What does uncorrelated mean? It means when one goes down, the others don't necessarily follow. Here's an analogy that will make this click. You don't put all your kids' activities in one category. You don't sign them up for soccer, basketball, baseball, and call it diversified. That's just all sports. They all get canceled in a pandemic. Real diversification looks like one sport, one creative outlet, an academic enrichment, a social activity, physical wellness practice. When school gets hard, the sport keeps them grounded. When the sport has an off season, the music keeps them engaged. They're not correlated. One going down doesn't take everything else with it. Your wealth portfolio looks the same. Your household wealth portfolio could look like this. So you've got stocks like S&P 500, right? An index fund, market growth. But then you have real estate, appreciation and cash flow. Then you have Bitcoin, asymmetric upside, right? It's a hedge against inflation. Gold, store of value, crisis hedge, like actual pieces of gold, right? Your business, that's income and it's equity over time. So have a business. Private investments, these are higher returns than public markets. So if you can get in, get in. Whole life insurance, it's tax advantage, guaranteed growth, it's liquidity, you can leverage against it, or like even a cash money market, right? So that's liquidity and stability. And then love this idea of alternative assets, right? Arts, collectibles with different industries, right? You go to an app, you get a little bit of alternative investments, there you go. Now, these are not all correlated. So they each move differently. When crypto, Bitcoin, if that crashes, your real estate doesn't. When the stock market tanks, your business might be thriving. So I personally hold several of these: Bitcoin, real estate, business, alternative investments, whole life, all the things. And I'm building towards a full picture. This isn't about being rich enough to diversify. It's not about that. You can put a little on each of these things. It's about being intentional enough to start. And diversification means multiple. And you don't need all 8 today, but you need a plan to get there. So how many do you have? 2, 3? Keep going. And guess what? You've been building a diversified portfolio your whole life. You just called it raising kids. All right, principle 5. Emotional discipline. Control fear, greed, and ego. This is the one nobody talks about. Jones says the biggest enemy of wealth isn't the market, it's you. Fear makes you sell at the bottom. Greed makes you hold too long. Ego makes you double down on bad decisions. For mom, this hits different. We've been conditioned to feel guilty about money, to not want too much, to shrink our financial ambition so we don't seem greedy. Here's what I want you to know about moms, and for all of us to recognize: we are masters of emotional regulation under pressure. You've talked to a screaming toddler and tried to gentle parent. You've talked him off a ledge. You've hugged him. You've navigated a teenager's emotional spiral while simultaneously managing a work deadline. You've held it together when everything was falling apart because someone needed to. That's emotional discipline. Don't let them tell you we're too emotional. The same skill that keeps you calm when your kid is melting down, that's what keeps you from panic selling when the market drops 20%. That's when you say, buy more. The same pattern recognition that tells you your kid's about to make a bad decision before they make it, that's what helps you see a market trend before it peaks. The same long game thinking you apply to your children's futures. The reason I'm talking to moms, because we have children's and grandchildren's future to think about. This is exactly what wealth building requires. Wealthy people aren't smarter, okay? They're more disciplined. And discipline, moms have that in spades. Here's what I want you to sit with. Every single skill Paul Tudor Jones built his empire on, you already have. Defense and protection. Okay, mama, you do that every day. Asymmetric thinking. You do that every time you invest in your kids. Strategic leverage. Who's picking up? Where? What school do they go to? You do that every time that you decide where to put your limited time and energy. Diversification. You've been building a diversified portfolio of human beings. Emotional discipline. You've been practicing it under the hardest conditions imaginable. Like me with a 21-year-old. The only thing that's been missing is the financial language, the permission to apply these skills to money. Permission granted. You have the permission now. So let's look at 3 shifts, some practical actions. Shift 1, audit your risk reward. Look at the dollars, at every dollar you're spending or investing, and ask, what's the upside and what's the downside? Is it asymmetric in my favor? You already asked this about your kids' activities. Now ask it about your money. I ask, is it taking more time out of me than I have to give them something? All right, shift 2, map your correlation. So write down every asset you currently hold. Are they all in the same bucket? Most people's answer is going to be yes. It's all in the 401k and it's all in stocks. Think about how you diversify your kids' lives. Now, do that for your portfolio. Identify one uncorrelated asset to add this year. We went and bought gold for Christmas. Literally bought gold bullion. I took my son. So fun. We have a piece of gold. Great. Shift 3, trust your pattern recognition. The next time you feel fear or FOMO around money, just pause. You've been reading patterns your whole life as a mom. Apply that same instinct here. Ask, is this a data-driven decision or an emotional one? You already know the difference. Trust it. I've got a free resource in the show notes. Grab it. I'll help you start mapping out your household wealth portfolio. And if this episode hit different, share it with a mom who's ready to stop playing defense with her money and start playing offense. This is Mom's Money Talk. I'm Elli Ezra, and I'm here to remind you, you're not bad with money. You're probably running an entire household economy without enough support, language, or systems. So this week, spend smart, acquire assets, and run your household like the wealth building machine it can be. Grab the free tool in the show notes, follow the show, send this to a mom who is ready to stop budgeting crumbs and start owning a bakery.